Alrighty, thank you everyone. I'll lay this stuff down really quick. No, you're good. Alrighty, so my name is Mason Denny. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know me here, but if you don't know me, I'm a senior here. And as of right now, this past summer, I went on a mission trip to Colombia, Cali, Colombia. It is a pretty big city towards the center of South America. It's a pretty nice city. When I was going there, I didn't know kind of what I was going into. It was a very unknown thing to me. The whole entire idea of it, I was just told, "Hey, I'm going on a mission trip," and it just it was a scary feeling, and I didn't know what I was going into. It is a Spanish-speaking country, which that automatically just put a damper onto the way I was going to go because I'm an English speaker. I know the little bit of Spanish that I know that Miss Carini taught me, but other than that, I feel like I didn't know what I was going into. So I had to kind of just go into it and let God take it how He went. And I have to say that after coming back and reflecting on it for some time, it really was a life-changing experience. I learned a bunch of valuable lessons, but I'm first going to start off with a story here that I talked about this in the church here at Perry Hall Baptist. That's who I went with. I went with Perry Hall Baptist Church. And the way the trip worked is we would go around, we would work with 2 different churches throughout the week. And when you work with the churches, you'd walk around and you would evangelize to people throughout the world or throughout the city. Something I've never done before, completely new to me. But first day, we are finally going out, first day of evangelizing, and I was not I was like, God, what am I going to do? I do not want to just walk up to random people's house. This is going to be such an uncomfortable situation for me. And so the first house I go to, it was just one of those moments where I was so anxious, and I have my translator knocks on the door, and we talk. A girl comes out of the house, and I say, hey, the English, because we're Americans, people from other countries really just want to hear from other English speakers because they don't have Americans around. So I saw that I was American, and I said, I just want to talk with you and kind of give you how my life has been changed. I was going to give my testimony to this woman, and I told her that, and she slammed the door on me. That was one of those moments. It was a really just a shot through the heart kind of feeling. I did not it was kind of really demoralizing. I did not want to go on. I was like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I wasn't supposed to be on this trip. And so I was like, all right, let's try one more and see what happens. And the next house I go to, completely different story. We go to the house, and this guy, he's sitting up on the top of the way the houses work. It's layered. They have 2 houses on top of each other. Really crazy. I mean, I don't know, whatever. The guy lived on the top floor, and he came down, he saw that we were there, and my translator introduced me and stuff. I go through my testimony, and I start talking to him about how my life has been changed through Jesus Christ and all this, just kind of having conversation with him, just wanted to see what he would say. And all of a sudden, he just started breaking down, and I didn't know what, I was like, what is happening right now? This guy's, he was a grown man. He was out there doing his job, and he just started breaking down right there. And my translator he spoke a little bit of English, which helped a little bit, but my translator was just trying to keep me informed on everything. And the guy, which this was a huge turn for events, the guy had been a long-term member of the cartel. Cartel is very big there, very prominent thing that you'll see there, drug abuse, all that kind of stuff. The guy had been a very, very long-term member of the cartel, and he has been wanting to get out of it for a long time, but they just hold you in. That's what the cartel does. They just hold you in there, and they don't let you leave. So this guy just is breaking down to me, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so tired of it. He said that he has had almost 3 near-death experiences where he's been shot at. He ended up lifting up his shirt, and he had scars all over his stomach from different wounds and things. And I was sitting there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy has been through so much right now, and he doesn't know anything about. I'm like, this is my perfect moment to talk to him about Jesus. This guy is vulnerable. He's open to talk right now. So I just listened to him, let him talk. And he's like, is there any chance you have any good news or good hope? And I said, well, I have this story that I want to tell you. And I told him the gospel. And that moment it was intimidating because it was the first time I was telling the gospel in my own words. I didn't have somebody there telling me exactly what to say. And I went through and I just laid out exactly what I know, what I've learned. And the guy, he's sitting there, he was crying throughout the whole entire thing, explaining it. And I was like, I was sitting there like trying to hold back tears because I'm like, this guy's just so open to listen. And so my translator, he like says, are you like everything okay? And then he kind of helped me out, like get me through it because he was a really great guy. He's a very smart guy in like Christianity. He knew the Bible very well. So he kind of gave me some help for the first time. So I would have other options in the other times. But we're there and this guy is just like so open to hear what I had to say. And I was like, oh my gosh, like God is doing this. Like he's made this encounter happen. So we end up sitting there. I think we talked for probably a good 20, 25 minutes. The guy just wanted to ask questions and so afterwards we ended up, he actually accepted Jesus into his life and he accepted, I was like just such a relief. And I was going there thinking, I don't want this for the numbers. If I'm going to have people come to Christ, I want them to be literally founded in Christ. I don't want this to be a trip where I just go and try and get numbers of how many people I talk to. If I'm going to go and talk to people, I want it to be meaningful and them to actually get something out of it. So, and this guy, which is the second house after I just got shut out, accepted Christ into his life with like complete just like joy. And when it happened, he completely changed. He was smiling. He had this joy to him. Like he was just so happy to be there. Like he just was so happy to talk to me and talk to other people. And it was just like it made me happy to see that. So we ended up talking for a little bit longer after that. And I gave him this paper to come and join us at the church for that evening. But then afterwards, we went back and had lunch and everything. And I ended up coming back. And before I left, I gave him a piece of paper on kind of like what the gospel, like explaining the gospel to him. I'm pretty sure most people have heard of what an EvangeCube is. That's what we used there. It was a paper version of that. And so I gave that to him and explained it to him. I said, here's the information. Like, if you have any questions, feel free to come to the church, come talk to us about it. And he ended up, apparently, as I was coming out, we went back out after lunch. He was out preaching the gospel to other people. He owned they have like little carts. You know how when you go to like any big city, you'll see like the hot dog stands and things like that. They have the same thing there, but it's like ice creams and stuff like that. So the guy, he worked as one of those. He's walking around with his ice cream thing, with his little gospel thing laying there. And as people were walking up to him, he was just sitting there like asking people questions. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy is actually like really means what happened today. And I ended up going and I went up and talked to him again. I said, hey, like, I love what you're doing. Like, take me through what you're kind of going through. And when I say this, it's kind of one of those things you have to experience to understand it. He just spoke like these words that were just so good. Like he just was being so fruitful and just wanted to help. He just wanted to be there for other people, just like I was there for him in that moment when he was breaking down. And he was just trying to give out that message to other people. And honestly, it was a life-changing moment. And I still to this day, I'm like, I just thank God for that moment, because I don't know, that whole trip could have went downhill really quick after the first one, getting it slammed in my face. I would have been done, like no more. But I saw that happen and I was like, okay, God, you have me for a reason here. Like, let's make the best out of this and really like, hopefully I can honor your kingdom. So, I mean, the mission trip itself, I have plenty of other stories. There's plenty of other people here that went with me. Dominic, Haley, Hannah, they were all on the trip with me. So they all have their own stories too. And it was just an event that I don't think, it's so hard to sit here and like explain it to people, because it's one of those things you have to like experiencing. I think Chris said this last week, experiencing it is a whole different thing than hearing about it. because God really does move even in the smallest ways. He really does change lives, even if it's right here in our backyard. And that's kind of how I'm going to finish this off is we can make a difference just because we are Christ followers. Like if we have the love of Jesus in us and we are willing to dive deeper in his word and like actually have a relationship with him, he will use us in different ways. He will use us as his vessels to help grow his kingdom in even the smallest different ways. You're at the grocery store and you talk to someone, even just something like that. You're wearing like a cross necklace, people will like realize something is different about you. The way you act is different than how the other people. So use your presence as a Christian to really just be a vessel for God, because God wants to use you. And if you kind of if you push him away from it, he's not going to be able to like have as good of a relationship as you could have. And that, I mean, there's plenty more I could talk about, but I don't want to hold up any more time on clue groups here. If you have any questions, by all means, you can come up and talk to me. You can come up and talk to anybody else. Any of the people that have been on mission trips, we would love to talk to you. We all have so many things we could tell you. And yeah, so that was my mission trip to Cali over the summer.